Hey everyone, we've been covering the history of Brother Voodoo, and now he's going to meet a few new superheroes. The Thing, Moon Knight, and perhaps most significantly, Doctor Strange. One day, Ben Grimm, also known as the Thing, a superhero and core member of the Fantastic Four, sought out the Black Panther, as the two superheroes were investigating a series of disappearances in New York City among the black community. However, on that day, Ben was surprised to find Black Panther's apartment was unlocked, and the hero was nowhere to be found. Inside, the Thing encountered Brother Voodoo, who used his powers to disappear and reappear in front of Ben as a demonstration of his abilities. Jericho Drumm did this in the hopes he could show he had come in peace, and that such abilities would merit a famed superhero hearing out someone more obscure like Jericho Drumm. Though it left Ben Grimm suspicious of the stranger, the tactic worked in getting him to listen, as Brother Voodoo told the man he had come here from New York to also investigate the disappearances. Voodoo sought out Black Panther but found him gone, with obvious signs in the home of a struggle along with a note. The Thing recognized that note was a list of the more prominent people in the city according to the local paper, the Daily Bugle. This was enough to get Ben to consider contacting his friend Reed Richards. But he chose not to, as, at the time, the Fantastic Four were disbanded. Instead, Brother Voodoo offered his assistance. They tracked down a woman named Mrs. Marley, another name on the list of prominent black individuals, but found she had already been taken, and two FBI agents were already on the scene investigating these disappearances as well. From the federal agents, the heroes learned that Mrs. Marley owned a private airstrip, at which point, in a display of his growing mastery over voodoo magics, Jericho Drumm immediately teleported the two right there, realizing the matter was of great urgency, and much to the alarm of Ben Grimm. The heroes appeared at the airstrip just as those kidnapped were being loaded into one of Miss Marley's private planes, and they both witnessed among the kidnappers a powerful monster who Jericho could sense was emitting strong supernatural energies. Ben recognized the monster as one he and T'Challa encountered earlier, but swore he personally watched the creature die. The heroes didn't have enough time to stop the plane, and the Thing lost his temper, attempting to knock the aircraft down with a mass of crushed metal fences he crudely assembled into a ball. Jericho was forced to calm Ben Grimm down, reminding the man of the innocent, captured people on the plane. Ben, realizing he wasn't thinking, quickly relented with the plan, leading to the plane safely escaping and arriving at its destination in the country of Uganda. There, the man who orchestrated this mass kidnapping, a villain known as Dr. Voodoo, reunited with a powerful mystic he had partnered with in this plan, named Wusili, as together the two had enslaved a vampire and transformed it into a Zubembe in order to follow through with this plan. Using his superhero connections, Ben was able to procure a plane and flew them to the African country, with Voodoo able to sense their location but at that point unable to teleport the two that far across the world. As they arrived, the plane was hit by a surface-to-air missile, which knocked Jericho out. With him unable to teleport the two out of the plane, Ben Grimm was barely able to get the two to the ground safely. The Thing sent down his injured colleague and went to free those captured on his own. He found Dr. Voodoo holding T'Challa hostage, only for Brother Voodoo to arrive, instructing Ben to smash a mystical urn that was keeping Black Panther passive. Ben Grimm was dismissive of this idea, not wanting to listen, and with little time left before Voodoo would have killed Black Panther, Brother Voodoo was forced to use Daniel's spirit to possess the Thing himself, and shatter the urn in a single blow. With Black Panther's mind now restored, he easily freed himself from Wabatu's clutches, while the vampire also escaped from Wusili's control. It struck out at the mystic who enslaved him, but the vampire escaped when the Thing intervened and chased the undead being away. While fleeing, it turned into a bat, and in a final act of revenge, killed Dr. Wabatu. With those captured saved, the three heroes brought everyone onto Miss Marley's plane, and they all returned home. Brother Voodoo continued to operate, still largely focused on working in New Orleans and Haiti. In spite of some recent adventures abroad, he remained largely known only in those two communities at this time. For some time, his specific actions are largely unknown and out of the public eye, until Jericho returned to his enchanted mansion only to find his home in flames. In spite of his ability to navigate the fires, the blaze burned out of control, destroying the mansion and, unfortunately, killing Jericho's loyal servant, Bamboo. It seems Damballah, who once wielded a powerful Serpent Loa, and the first villain Drumm defeated, had returned, and his followers struck out by destroying Brother Voodoo's manor. Jericho tracked down Damballah to New York City and sought the help of the legendary master of magic, the sorcerer supreme known as Dr. Strange. Strange, knowing of magics from all across the earth, was already familiar with Brother Voodoo by reputation and recognized him as a friendly mystic. So he heard out Brother Voodoo's story and agreed to help. However, Stephen Strange also recognized that Brother Voodoo was lying to them, that Daniel Drumm had already become possessed by Damballah's Serpent Loa. In an impressive display of the spirit's power, it was able to escape the Sorcerer Supreme with Daniel's Loa. Now free from the serpent's control, Jericho admitted he tried to harness Damballah's power for himself, and in the process became possessed, and was the one who burned down his own home and killed Bamboo. At this, Dr. Strange vowed to resolve this situation himself. With Jericho now vulnerable to Damballah's possession, Strange insisted on doing so alone, leaving Drumm in the care of his companion, Clea. Stephen pursued Damballah throughout the city, but eventually the Loa doubled back and tried to possess Jericho, as Dr. Strange suspected would be the case. Clea erected a magical barrier and held Damballah back until Stephen returned, and managed to trap Damballah's Loa. However, it still possessed Daniel's own spirit. With a powerful but risky spell, Dr. Strange managed to banish the spirit of the Loa, while safely restoring the bond between Daniel and Jericho. With the brothers reunited in Jericho's body, Brother Voodoo thanked Dr. Strange for his help, humbled by the experience while calling Stephen a true master of the mystic arts in comparison. Jericho returned home, vowing to root out and defeat the rest of Damballah's followers. When he disappeared before Strange and Clea, Stephen commented that Brother Voodoo's powers and abilities must not entirely be rooted in traditional magic, as he was able to navigate the magical barriers of Dr. Strange's home without difficulty. Following this, sometime later, two beings agreed to play a game with one another. The first among them was the Grand Master, a member of a powerful collective of aliens known as the Elders of the Universe. The second was an individual whose identity was concealed but eventually revealed to be the embodiment of death itself. They gathered all the heroes of Earth together in a contest of champions, with Brother Voodoo among those taken to participate in this challenge, all occurring in a massive stadium floating in space, while the entire planet Earth was held hostage, ensuring the superheroes would cooperate. Jericho was not chosen to be on any of the subsequent teams selected for this tournament, but did witness its resolution before he was returned to Earth, which was left safe thanks to the action of various heroes from around the world, some of which who emerged for the first time around these events. Not long after this, Brother Voodoo began to investigate an attempted coup of Haiti in the making, planned by a group of terrorists operating in the port city of Mirabelais. There, Jericho was separated from his brother's spirit. Daniel's Loa found itself battling some of these terrorists at the side of a then relatively new superhero named Moon Knight, who had been brought in by Haitian authorities, specifically its country's head of security, a man named Picard. Not recognizing this mysterious superhero as an ally, Daniel possessed one of the criminals and attacked the Moon Knight, also known as Mark Spector. However, the Spectre was able to knock the goon Daniel was possessing unconscious, and the other terrorists managed to escape with both Daniel and the possessed criminal, in spite of Spectre's best efforts. Jericho Drumm arrived shortly after, with the two superheroes explaining who they were to each other, as well as what they knew of the situation. Mark, a wealthy hero with many resources, then called in a custom-built helicopter flown by his employee named Frenchie to help turn in some of the terrorists to the Haitian authorities, those knocked out by Moon Knight and Daniel who didn't manage to escape. As Frenchie did this, Jericho used Daniel's spirit to track down those attempting the coup. With Voodoo leading the way, he and Spectre traveled by boat to find Daniel and the rest of the terrorists' cell. Their journey was perilous, with the two encountering Zubembis riding undead alligators, but they handled the battle well by working together, forcing the Zubembis to retreat. Frenchie completed his cleanup duties in Mirabelais and regrouped with the superheroes, giving Spectre a ride in the helicopter while Voodoo remained behind. They agreed to split up, with Spectre tracking down Daniel while Jericho followed the Zubembis. The paths ultimately led to the same lagoon, where Moon Knight found Jericho about to fall off a waterfall. Though Spectre tried to save the man, Jericho insisted on diving off the falls just the same. Separated again, Moon Knight landed safely on the ground on his own in the lagoon, only to be surrounded by armed insurrectionists. But they fled when Brother Voodoo appeared behind them and retrieved Daniel's spirit. Tracking down the criminals, they learned this coup was actually planned by Haiti's own head of security, as Gicard had grand delusions about himself and called himself the Grand Bois. Moon Knight was captured by the man while Brother Voodoo watched on and allowed him to be taken to the Grand Bois' lair. As this villain planned a ritual to cement his control over the Zubembis he summoned, at that point Jericho appeared, having been waiting up until this point in an effort to learn more about the Grand Bois and the source of his power, which came from a giant skull-shaped artifact. On Mark Spector's command, Frenchie used the helicopter's weapons to destroy the skull from outside, rendering the Zubembis inert and causing Gicard's men to immediately turn on their leader. Brother Voodoo deduced that Gicard's men were also under his coercion, as they were the descendants of the Zubembis Gicard had created, and felt compelled to work for the man after he threatened to make more Zubembis if they didn't. With Gicard arrested, Moon Knight offered to split the money that was paid to him for the job, but Brother Voodoo refused, pointing out that the money was stolen by Gicard from the country of Haiti. Hearing this, Moon Knight insisted on giving all the money to Brother Voodoo anyways, suggesting he use it to turn the Grand Bois' lair into a hospital in order to aid the country. And that's the end of some more early Brother Voodoo adventures. Next time, he's going to reunite with Doctor Strange and also Moon Knight. So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching.